Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody.
Let me get mine.
Oh, my God, look at this. Welcome to the Sabian Education Network Roundtable. As you can see, it's going to be a fun-filled hour. We have we have the hijinks. Oh, look at this! I'm the only guy without a mask. What's going on here? I got it. All my masks are upstairs. That is the greatest mask I've seen so far. Maybe a good idea for a product. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us, everybody. Welcome to the Sabian Education Network webinar on Facebook and YouTube. We've been having a great series of these events every Friday. My co-host, the eminent Mr. Tom Famularo, below me. Tom, welcome back. Today we have a very special day. Two artists who I've just gotten to know actually over the last few weeks. And I'm really thrilled to have them. If you have not seen these guys play, you have to go to these YouTube links that I'm sharing, and you're going to have your face blown off. These guys are two of the most amazing drummers I've seen. They're both coming to us live from Havana in Cuba, and I'd like to give a very warm welcome to them. We have Mr. Oliver Valdes. Welcome, Oliver.
Woo! Hey, thanks for the invitation. Thank you for having us here. It's a pleasure. We with you guys, with Dom and Aldo and you, we're gonna have fun and we talk about Cuban music, about our experience, and it's a pleasure.
Thank you. And also next to him, also coming to us from Havana, Mr. Rodney Barreto. Welcome, Rodney.
Rodney, yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Hey. Thank you.
And
thank you very much, guys. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure for me to be around with all these legends of the drums and all of you. Once again, thank you for the invitation. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about Cuban music and about experience, like already said before. So, thank you very much.
Our pleasure, Rodney and Oliver, both of you guys. And also joining us today is an old friend of Sabian, an old friend of mine and Dom's as well. Yeah. Sabian endorser and the man who runs the COSA educational system with camps and events all throughout the world, including China and Italy, and as refers to today's event in Cuba, Mr. Aldo Mazza. Welcome, Aldo.
Yes, Aldo.
Hi.
We're back together.
Yay! and this year we celebrated our 25th anniversary. We all go way back, right, Dom?
I was there for the very first one, Aldo, with Yolan helping out and making it happen, and it was exciting. And for 20 years, we did the camp up in Vermont area, and beautiful. And of course, now with Oliver and Rodney, this opens up a whole nother level of education. You two guys are incredible.
Absolutely.
Oh, thanks,
incredible.
Yeah.
So
let me just introduce a little bit more Rodney and Oliver. When we started our camps and workshops in Cuba, actually Oliver was there the first year, so that's 20 years ago also. And when we started the workshops, we did a camp workshop festival with Geraldo Piloto. And our man here, Geraldo Piloto, is like the top drummer and musician in Cuba. And he's the artistic director of La Fiesta del Tambor, which we also named the Havana Rhythm and Dance Festival, because it's not just a drum festival. Now it is absolutely huge, and it happens for a whole week. During that whole week, we do our camps and workshops, and Rodney and like all these drummers are our teachers. Imagine all week and every night concerts in a theater that holds about 4,500 people, the Karl Marx Theater. And this year we had Antonio Sanchez scheduled with the Pat Metheny Band, and of course that didn't happen. But over the years, we've had many people come over to the festival also, and people, living in Havana, living the music and learning with these folks, and these are like the next generation. You have Geraldo Piloto, Enrique Pla, who's the original drummer for Iraquere, Amadito Valdes from Buena Vista Social Club. I mean, these are all our teachers, friends, the performers, and it just goes on and on forever. The great thing with Sabian, they came on board maybe 7-8 years ago with Bob Zildjian himself being behind this and everyone at Sabian. They said, we have to be there. We have to help. So now there's a competition, and we bring instruments down and give to the contest winners, and it's huge. So every night there are performances of all kinds. One night is a dedicated Sabian night, and never run out of artists. International people who come, Will Calhoun has come, Mark Juliana has come, many people who have joined us. And during the day, there are classes, workshops, and performances at night. But I did want to say about Rodney. Rodney's related to Piloto, Geraldo Piloto. Yes.
Really?
Yes, sir.
That is fantastic.
The present drummer for Chucho Valdes. And he's one of the top studio guys. And Oliver, has been, ever since he was 5 years old, he's been one of the top studio guys. He's now 25, by the way.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, guys, I want to get right into talking about some music and some background of you guys. But before we do, I had an observation or a question, and I thought maybe Oliver and Rodney, you guys could say if you think I'm maybe kind of enlighten me. So all of the Cuban, when I was watching your videos of you guys, all of the drummers I've seen, and particularly you two guys, all of the traditional Cuban music that you're playing, obviously you've grown up and learned all the traditional music, but you play great jazz and you play great backbeat music as well, pop music. So what is it about the educational system or your exposure to music when you're growing up in Cuba that has made so many great drummers come out of there, not just playing traditional Cuban music, but all the other styles? I mean, are you hearing it all on the radio all the time, or are you guys exposed to all these styles of music? You play everything so well. So Oliver?
Me, okay. Well, can you hear me? I just wondering that I have can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we hear you, Rodney. Go ahead.
Good. Okay. So basically, that's an interesting question, because I will try to condense my answer, because it could be a little bit longer. But our foundation here in Cuba, when you go to our school, is totally classical. Classical music is what you receive here at the school. You receive like a let's gonna say like a not extra class, but let's gonna say like a part-time classes. Now it's getting better than the time that when we were studying. But for example, we received like at the time we were studying, we received like a classical percussion, like a 4 days on the week between Monday and Friday, and then we received Cuban percussion like twice on the week. Depends the class. It's like we name it like a group class. It's like a different percussion with different traditional instrument, and we practice in like the Cuban readings, all our roots, our readings, the different kind of reading that we have. But talking about the drum set, we didn't receive any drum class. Never. No, well, I don't want to say never. I received, let's say I received my drum class when I was in high school on the 3rd year. So it's going to be like 1 year before my graduation. I received my official drum class. Wow. With actually one of the biggest teachers here in Cuba. His name is Luis Lopez Nusa, that he also is a artist, I think. That was my official class. But basically, Joe, it's like you said, all that information that we have about jazz, funk, and all those music outside of Cuba is because in a school, we all share music. At my time, we didn't have the internet and the information that we have it now. So at my time, we still using tape recorder and CDs. So for example, my uncle is a drummer. Oliver's father is a guitar player. So all the information that they bring to Cuba on their travels, CD, the last CD of, I don't know, Chick Corea, Herbie Hancock, or any kind of a straight head jazz or funky or whatever. So they have those CDs at home. So we listen. And once that they, let's gonna say that they give up to listen those CDs, we get it. And then if, for example, Oliver have a desktop computer, and sometimes they have like a burn. So sometimes he burns CDs for us, and we like it, you know, or just share the music. Or I give you, you know, I have the latest album of Korea, and Oliver I have the latest of Herbie Hancock, and we switch for 1 week, and then you know that was our system, you know, it was like that, and I'm pretty sure that Oliver is gonna be a really. We have luck in some point that Oliver has a drum set at home, and my uncle was studying the drum set at home too, at the same house. So once that they left to travel or go outside, go to play, they left the drum set there. So that was like our time for sneak around, you know. Okay, my uncle is not here. No, that's my time for play the drum set. And I try to reproduce exactly what he did, you know. But it's like you know that was our situation as a student. That was a combination between the classical music. That, by the way, our teacher Roberto Concepcion, that I think that Daphne was talking about him in one of the sessions. He also is our teacher too. So even when he was our classical teacher, we shared a lot of music with him, a lot of music. You know, in our part time outside the class, is like sometimes we in a lunch time. Sometimes we didn't go to lunch, and we stay with him, and we talk about music. We listen music at the classroom with him, and we take the lunch up to the classroom. You know, things like that. But officially, drum class, we didn't receive here. I received it in 3rd year of high school. That was the history. I'm pretty sure that Oliver have the same history too. But that's the way that we combine the drums here.
Oliver,
he's playing a lot, no? But that's the deal. We study classical music that Rodney say, and you know, we say in Cuba that we learn on the street. You know, we learn everything, and the piano players also they study classical. It's not only drums, you know, it's general. It's saxophone players, they study Parker or Coltrane, you know, out of the school. And it's funny, you know, because we study in the 90s. So in the 90s, the situation in Cuba was like extremely, you know, was very difficult because we're having a special period. Well, it's complicated to explain and understand that, but the only thing that the only thing that saved us, you know, was music, and was have some drum parts at home and study and that's what Ronnie say, hear music and learn, you know, about that. And for example, my case, I love play jazz, I love play funk, American music, you know, and I think that is the base of drum set, because drum set came from your country, you know, it's not our original instrument. Right. So I studied, you know, I hear a lot, you know. I remember at the school with a saxophone colossus from Sonny Rollins.
Sonny Rollins,
you know, Max Roach all the time in here in my ear. So we study a lot that, and we are still studying that. Cuban music came in our skin, our soul, you know. So that's why we try to play another music, no, than Cuban music. And we do our way, you know. We don't play jazz like American drummer. We play like a Cuban drummer, but it's our way, you know. We're trying to do our best. Also, we have Latin jazz or Cuban jazz. It's the mix between Cuban music and American music. So we have funk mixed with Cuban music. You know, Cuban music is the essential, and for us it's wonderful mixed with another kind of music, no?
Yeah. Tom, you had a comment?
Oliver and Rodney, who would you say your top drumming influences were? Who were the top drummers that you listened to and learned from?
Whoa, that is many
Well,
drummers, man.
Rodney, why don't
oh
you
my
go first?
God. That. But okay. I grew up. No, I had lucky at that time. I don't know if you know Julio Barreto. He used to play
Yeah.
with Gonzalo Rubalcaba.
Yeah.
He's my uncle. That's why I'm playing
Wow.
drums. That's why I'm playing drums. He's my biggest, and he will be my biggest inspiration. It's like I remember when because I want to play like basketball first, and I was in that it was in between okay basketball and drumming, but of course drumming was more than the basketball. Let's say that was the biggest drummer and the first drummer I hear. Actually, I have all that info too much that even when sometimes I try to discover like a different things, it's like his sound is around me. Even when sometimes I want like move on a little bit, but I still have that information because I have it too close. And I remember when I began to get into the American music like really deeply because sometimes here in Cuba we think that we because Cuban musicians are very versatile. We can play a lot of things, but doesn't mean that you really know how to play funk, or you really know how to play straight head jazz, because we don't play here with guys who have that foundation. We play here, like Oliver said, pretty close to you, but in our perspective and it's the knowledge that we have here. So if you don't play straight head jazz, the bass player who's getting used to play that kind of music, maybe you won't feel that different when you play with the bass that he's already plays is that music all the time.
Right.
So for me that happens that when I began to play funky straight head jazz deeply, I'm began to change jam with people around the world. Is when I discovered that, oh my God, I think I'm a little bit far of the real part of the situation. It's not the same. It's not the same comfort area that I'm getting used to playing Cuba. So when I realized that, when I jump, because it's not the same when, for example, for me, my experience, like of course, I happen the same I Oliver. I listen in my rush. I'm a big fan of Elvin Jones. Big fan of Elvin Jones. It's like for me, Elvis and Roy Haynes is like a wow. Those guys changed my mind. But it's not the same here, the recording, and sometimes even when you think that you know the song because you are able to play the same chops that those guys play, even for that, when you go to play the song and you want to do the same, that is some point that you don't sound like them.
Yeah, of course.
That's right.
Even when you know the chops, even when you know the song, you know exactly what they do, but you don't sound like them. And that's the point that okay, I need to work about that. So I in that part that I told you, when I began to realize too, I need to worry about a lot of small details that we don't realize when we are listening or when we are studying. So I began to care about that. For example, when I play funky, people in Cuba here with the drummers freak out with the power of the when you play the 2 and the 4 of the snare.
Yeah.
The snare, yeah.
How that snare sounds powerful. Pa, pa, and as long as you listen the drummer, you realize that it's the same snare, it's the same intention, it's the same powerful. And you say, how those guys play with the same sound, they don't miss the sound, they don't. For example, on a wrong concept, we thought here in Cuba that strong ring shot, sound there is with the stick really close to the ring, to the hoop. Because it's like that part that will sound like when you move the stick like very 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 close to the ring, that you have that like that you have that like that high note, and we thought that okay, that's the way that they play the ring shot. But then when you realize that if you move that to outside, your sound is gonna sound different every time you play it, because you don't have the complete control of that harmonic that you create on that. So when someone told me, "Hey man, it's reverse. You have to put your stick inside
Inside.
inside
Yeah.
to the snare," I realized, are you sure? But when you play it inside and you say, "Hey man, it's like this," and when they show me, they say, "Oh, that's the
Yeah.
way." No, so things like that. For example, no one explained to us. It's like a
Yeah.
thing that we have to realize. For example, when you were recording, and in a recording session, it's not like a live session. In a live session, maybe you could not worry about these things, because it's like you think, okay, nobody's recording, nobody's doing that. That keeps it live. But when you go on a record session, that keeps for life.
Yeah.
And then when you find the producer saying, "Hey, okay, Rodney, that's okay, but what happened with the sound of the snare? Like, it's not the same sound," and you don't know the right answer to tell it to him. So that's what you realize that. So things like that maybe if we will receive like a drum class, someone know like, "Hey man, don't do that outside because this happens,"
Yeah.
So no one explained that to us. Like we're getting on the move, on the way, and things like that, small details that people think that people sometimes like skip those details and they want to go straight to, I want to play hard, I want to play tops, I want to play crazy stuff, I want to play triple X 16 speed, and we jump on top of that and we forget this simple of that. But for me, I discovered that that's the meaning of the play the drum set, sound. And take all these things first and then to play. So basically, it's that, it's very complicated for us.
Oliver, can you talk about your
situation.
Oliver? Can you talk about your?
For me, I think that the first drummer that made me like realize. Well, actually, the first percussionist who I can say that the guy who put me into the, okay, this is what I want to do, this is what I feel, this is what my dream, I want to be like this, was a percussionist, a Cuban percussionist called Pello el Africano. He's the creator of Mozambique.
Oh, wow.
Rhythm Mozambique. My father gave me I have it here at home. He gave me a long play, like the album from his band, and I remember like today, I was listening that, and I was like, oh my God, what colors is this? Is magic, that was my that for me is my first pattern, my guru, After that, of course, Buddy Rich, he came to me like a master, no? Buddy Rich, I think that is one of the first drummers that I get involved, no? Of course, Elvin Jones is the master, and but I hear everything, I learn from everybody. I hear, I don't have like a specific drummer, I love hear and learn, and I learn with the new guys who's growing up here, I that's my point of view. And Steve Gadd, of course.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
You guys,
definitely Steve Gadd.
I hear your session, Joe, your session in like 2 days ago or something, like a recording. I love it. Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh my God, you guys are amazing.
Yeah.
Like,
we played together here many years ago. I was a kid.
Yes,
no
I
beer.
remember.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's great.
you know, I love it. And talking
I
about
remember
Rodney,
those master class. I remember those master class.
That's great.
Yes.
You know, I want to give Aldo a chance to ask you guys a question. But one thing I wanted to say was when we talked the other day, I didn't really understand that Roberto Concepcion taught classical music, and then you guys hung out with him on the side, right? And Daphne's too. And Aldo, you want to take it from there?
Yeah. Let me just contextualize a little bit. Roberto is kind of like the Arnie Lang of Cuba. He was probably the first classical percussionist who came out of the ISA, or the classical conservatories, if you will. So he became kind of the godfather or grandfather of that. He's still around and is amazing. He's, if you go to Horacio Hernandez's house, chances are he's hanging out there. And it's funny because in Cuba, we have to, I want to express this correctly. There's a big lineage and everybody pays attention to it. Everybody comes from this classical tradition and purely classical. The conservatories, at a very young age, when people show aptitude for music and they want to go that direction, well, they go to the schools where music, dance, and art are a big deal. So they have this formation. Then on the side, they get this other training and influences that come along. So you have people like Roberto, then you have people like Changuito, who is not a trained musician, but like I said in a previous conversation, he was sent from God somewhere. They just let him off here, here, help these people on the planet. And nobody can really understand where he's like a fountain. And that's not something else. And there are many different people like that. You also have all of these different cultures that have come through Cuba. And I was, as I mentioned, and I mentioned this in my book too, it took me 20 years to figure it out. There are, when you say Cuban music, I mean, being specific, you say Brazilian music, Cuban music, the word Latin is a much larger net, but being specific to Cuba, there's a lot of music that was developed there, from the cha-cha-cha to Mozambique to that later songo, et cetera, et cetera. So they have these lineages of people who have come from different cultures and lineages. So you have the Afro-Cuban, you have the descendants of Hispanic, like the son. This Afro-Cuban thing is not a general, it's a very specific thing that has a lineage to Cuba. And one has to take a lot of time to understand this because it's a lot more complicated.
Yeah.
And then you have people who come in and out, like ourselves when we're there and we bring in guests and there's an interaction of people bringing in records and the musicians, the Cuban musicians who go out and come back and bring ideas, bring instruments, bring music. So there's a lot more interaction. Now there's a lot of bridge building that has been done over the years. Mm-hmm. The nice thing about Cuba is that getting back to the lineages and hierarchy, these masters are all in the community, very well respected, very well listened to, and they're all active. Whether it's Amadito Valdes with the Buena Vista Social Club, which has absolutely nothing to do with Mozambique or Afro-Cuban anything, that's another lineage. He's like the Miles Davis of the timbales. He plays 3 notes, but those 3 notes, so that's another lineage. So everyone is there and active. And you have a city like Havana, which is probably the size of Montreal or Boston. Very small.
You leave me alone, man.
Everyone knows each other. Everyone listens to each other, encourages each other, sees each other, supports each other. And then you have, things like this, these festivals that go on. And everyone has a chance to perform. Mm-hmm. And all the guys are playing Sabian cymbals, by the way.
I know, that's great. So now both great. Oliver, and Rodney, both of you guys are teaching. So Oliver, let me start with you. So are both of you guys teaching online now as well, or?
Yeah, man. Well, we start in this. My first time was 4 months ago. Mm-hmm. and you know, it's interesting because you know, when you have the student with you, you can play to him, play for him, and you know, say some details that you know it's important to teach. So, but it's cool, man. I feel comfortable, and you know, the result is the same. Is really nice. You know, it's be on this new era for us.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah,
for everybody.
absolutely.
Normally the
Look at this.
people came to Cuba. They fly. I have a student from Japan, so he came to Cuba to learn. You know,
Wow, that's great.
with this new time that we are living, you know, we have to move on. You know,
Yeah.
so we are into the online stuff, and it's good for us. You know, we are close to the real world that we say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rodney, check out this comment. So if someone
I check it.
yeah, it's great. I'll put it back up. If somebody wants to start learning about timba, right? Are you teaching, like, you have to go
Yeah.
back and study some of the lineage before you get to that? I mean, I've heard the grooves, but it's got to be a lot deeper than that, right?
Yeah. That's the other part of the history of the Cuban drumming, because we were talking earlier about Latin jazz, but timba, let's go say that the dance music for us is almost the same, but it's not the same approach from the drum way, you know, because it's difficult. For example,
I touched
jazz,
something here.
like the concept is more like when you go play to like a straight head jazz, for example. And you play with that freedom, but playing like the timba is like more closer to the funky stuff. So it's like the biggest influence, and actually the reading of timba. If you like, you're gonna say like one of the first pattern of timba that created by Piloto, Calisto, even for Changuito. But Changuito used it more like the song or the reading that he created. Because we were in the review that we have, I was telling you guys that in my research, talking about Cuban readings on the drum set, in my research, I just find one.
Interesting. Very interesting.
You know, it's very crazy and interesting to hear that. But they're gonna say like a reading for the drum set, because all those reading that Aldo was saying is created for percussion.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have a drum set here when cha-cha-cha, Mozambique,
Nothing.
rumba, mambo, nothing. We didn't play drums at that time when those reading was created. So at the end, we have all those reading on the drum set, but on the drum set is a mix of the real concept of the drum set and the reading himself. You know what I mean? So let's gonna say like you take part of the reading and you adapt it to the drum set, because in the drum set you have all the sounds and all the tunes to reproduce the reading is gonna say almost exactly that the original reading.
Right.
You know. So but talking about the drum set, the only reading that we have here on the drum set is the songo created by Changuito.
Right.
That, like he said, the architect. No, he said Godfather. He's God here in that. So
The capo.
all that information, the capo. All that information when you're gonna play timba is the information that we apply. And the interesting, you're talking about teaching. The interesting part, like a lot of students come to me to learn to learn what about all those timba patterns, you know, that we have from the original and from the latest timba pattern. That, let's go to say, I have a history now with the guy who named it Habana de Primera. That's the group that I play now. This is one of the interesting group here in Cuba, because we mix it the salsa, not the salsa like a traditional, well, let's gonna say like the old Cuban music, you know, that used to play that now in Puerto Rico, they name it salsa. And with the concept with the concept of the updated Cuba, updated of the Cuban music. And I remember that Alexander, because we have like a, you know, that is like a group here. I'm talking fast because I have too much information. But for example, Songo, the Songo is the thing that comes with one of the greatest group here. The name is Los Bambang. That's when Changuito, one from where they create the Songo. So basically, we're gonna say when we talk about the Songo, every group here in Cuba respect that. That's a Bambang thing, you know. If you wanna be like an original and you don't wanna repeat that concept, it doesn't mean that you don't use the Songo. Of course, we use it. But we don't base all the reading session on the Songo like Van Van do, you know.
Oh yeah.
Because that's them, you know.
Yeah.
You know, for example, and then the rest of the group played when they add the drum set, they use the same reading that created by Piloto, Changuito, Calixto Viedo, all those guys that what let's gonna say the founders of the timba. You know, the very beginner drummers. And then I remember when Habana de Primera did the group, Alexander said, hey, okay, Rodney, let me tell you something. I don't want Songo, and I don't want that kind of reading for the drum set. And I remember I said to him, you don't let me any option. What I'm supposed to play? The other option that I have is go straight to America. You know, playing funky or playing, you know, because you don't leave me any kind of option, you know. And he said, okay, no, we'll figure out. Short history. I said to him, okay, let's gonna do the Cuban percussion first, and then I put the drum set. And I was gonna say in my I don't know what I'm thinking. I just create my pattern for that song, for that tune. Yeah. But I used like I was talking before, a lot of very American elements of the drum set. You know, my hi-hat was playing like an upbeat. You know, like I was playing like a dance music of funky, you know, but I don't use the snare on the 2 on the 4. I just use the snare with the funky concept that the bass drums and the bass line sometimes come together. No, depends the song or depends the groove on, and then I just create that combination for the bass line and the tumbao of the piano. I take those accents in my snare and my bass drum, and I create the pattern.
Right.
That's it. That's all I did.
Wow.
That's cool.
So after that, a lot of young players and a lot of students, they are sometimes when they're gonna play, they use that reading. Of course, I feel like wow. No, I'm proud. I didn't realize. I didn't thought that someone is gonna use that for me. You know.
Yeah.
I thought now a lot of people use that as a timba pattern. But the thing for the Cuban drumming that I tell when I teaching is that even when you are a drummer, if you want to learn Cuban drumming, you are like almost obligated to know how sounds the Cuban percussion before playing the drums.
Yeah.
Right. Oliver, did you?
Otherwise, you are not.
Oliver first, and then Aldo.
Yeah, I would like to add it, like, you know, that rhythm that Ronnie talked, that the way that he played with that band is like a play, you know. I don't know if the right that I want to say now, it's like play like a backbeat or behind the beat, you know. The rhythm are like taka 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 taka, and he played behind that, you know. He played like with space, and that's made, you know, sounds different, because normally we play like and he played like with the space on drums. So that's new for everybody, you know.
Yeah,
it's wonderful because, you know, Cuban music timba is like a full rhythm, you know. It's like a power, it's like a heavy metal, you know. It's heavy,
right?
So that's the interesting thing that what he's talking about. No, I would like to
But you
say
made
that because it's
you made a great point about
Well-
that. Everybody's obligated to know. You guys know all the traditional stuff. So in order to play timba the right way, like the clave is still dictated, right? So you still have to stay within knowing where it came from. That's the thing that's interesting about it. You can't just bust out the timba
Yeah,
group if you
exactly.
don't know where the clave is at, right?
Exactly.
No,
Yeah.
the
Exactly.
clave is the clave is like it's like the conductor of everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes we think on that. Sometimes we just play, and clave is involved everything, but clave is a big sometimes a problem on music too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because the
Yeah,
bands,
definitely.
when you play with a band, the arrangement and the composition, sometimes they change.
Yeah.
They change claves sometimes, but we have to conduct and we have to play straight like one clave. And if the lyrics or the melody of the singer change, we have to move to be on the same part, So
Yeah.
it's complicated.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because it's like an exercise, that you have to be clear, and you have to play with that, and
Yeah.
but it's really nice, clave is like a mother, it's like a
Yeah. But you
Yeah, the heartbeat, the heartbeat.
the
Yeah.
heartbeat. Yeah.
Aldo, what did you
Yeah, no, I think it's really important for people to understand that when we say clave, it's not just a rhythm that's played in Cuban music. Clave is a universal 5-note phrase that's in all music, and that's dictated by the melody. So when Oliver was saying when the melody changes, well, the clave goes with it. It's not like here's the clave and here's the melody. There should not be such a thing. It's a concept that we learn. That it's all about melody, and the melody it's a construction thing, architectural, and everything goes with the clave. And all the percussion instruments and all the parts are actually melodic, and they're thought melodic, which fit in the clave. I mean, we'd need a week for that discussion, but just to leave it at that. But I also wanted to say that in Cuba, an interesting thing is that getting back to the lineage, everyone does have to know where these things came from. You cannot just invent. But at the same time, there's a constant evolution, and the rhythm at which new things come up, everybody's under pressure. I mean, Rodney said it himself. All these famous artists, Alexander Barreto, who is the leader of the band and the singer, he has a responsibility. He has to come up with a new thing. Piloto has to come up with a new thing. Every band or every artist has to come up with a new thing. Otherwise, they die, they get old. So they're always under this great musical pressure to come up with something new. But to come up with something new while keeping those traditions, it's really amazing to watch, because it goes from way back there to how far can you take this without ever leaving home? And you also have like the new funk that's out there. Like there's a group called Cima Funk that's taking everybody by storm.
Yeah.
But it's a Cuban funk. It has its influences in Michael Jackson, and all of these funk guys from the States. But also it's you can tell it's Cuban. I mean, it's been studied. It has the foundation of the background of Cuba, which makes it super interesting.
Wow. Dom, go ahead.
I think what's interesting is what I want all the listeners to understand is that what Rodney and Oliver have done growing up in Cuba and what Aldo has done by bringing education to Cuba They have an incredible respect for the past players and the past educators. They have such a deep respect for who came before us. And that's something which we're losing in modern music. We're so worried about what's coming up new that we're ignoring the past. If you want to discover some of that new stuff, you have to go back to the past and take it in and learn it, which will give you new ideas. And that's what they do so well in Cuba. When I was there with Piloto performing,
Exactly.
it was so great. I went back, and with anyone that was older than me, I asked questions, and they had so much knowledge, and there's such a youthful atmosphere with many of these older players. That, I think, is part of the magic of Cuba.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
great.
Dom.
Exactly.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Amen.
My
Amen.
brothers
Amen.
and sisters, I can feel
Amen.
your love. Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
No, it's, it's. I think that I talked a lot with Rodney about this, and to move on something. In this case, the percussion, our tradition, it's important to create something new. It's important to know, deeply, to know what happened in the past, what they create, and know, but I really know about that, because it's important. It's impossible to make something new if you don't know nothing from your past. So for us, the respect and the education, probably, well, Rodney and I, we grew up in a musical family, and one of the things that I learned from my father was that condition, the respect, and we call it our older, and that's important. I also hear them, the new generation, they are trying to, that they are busy in the future, but they are not interested too much in the past. We have Enrique Pla here in Cuba. He's one of the masters drummers from Cuba from the war. And I said to the youngest, hey, you have to go to Enrique's house to learn. That we did, Ronnie and I. I follow him. Today I call him, and I'm worried to talk to him to learn, because they are the founders, they are the creators. So it's really important, to keep that. And we have many, we are Cubans. We have strong roots from percussion,
Yeah.
And that's it's like a mark that we have. We have something here that the people say, you are Cuban, okay, I know what I want to hear. I want to hear this, and okay, you play American music, you play, okay, let me hear the thing that you have here, your mark, your like a horse,
You're branded. You are branded with that knowledge of Cuba. Absolutely.
That's Cuba.
Absolutely. You are branded.
I love to defend that. I'm proud of that,
Yeah.
And I think that we have to move on, and we have to create something with the new thing and the roots and everything. It's like a blend of everything, but the basis is respect.
And think about all of the great players. Changuito must be studied. Daphnis Prieto is a phenomenal player. I just heard him recently. Horacio El Negro Hernandez. These are players that are visionaries. And on bass, Carlos Del Puerto, another phenomenal bass player from Cuba. Phenomenal musicians, phenomenal.
we are in touch with all these guys, you know.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I always wondered, and when I got ready to host this interview, I watched a lot of video. Both Oliver and Rodney, both of you guys just play so amazing. And one thing I wondered is, all of the drummers that I've seen, both in Cuba and the guys Dom mentioned who came from Cuba and moved to the States, like everyone seems to have such a natural, and you guys included, like easy grasp of playing things that sound polyrhythmic. And I just wonder if it's like, I don't, like when you guys were in classical school, were you studying like groupings, or do you think just growing up with music that's based in clave gives you an easier way to feel that than maybe I did listening to rock and roll, you know?
Yeah.
One of you guys want to answer that first?
Well, I mean,
yeah, go. Enlighten me.
Short. Rodney, short.
Yeah, I know. Well, I know. The thing is like you said, it's like our music is like a lot of syncopated that maybe for us that's simple, you know, to understand all that syncopation, all that offbeat, all that. And then when you move like I was telling you before, when you move like for American music, and you understand first the American music, and you see that also in all non-American, all type of music, you are able to use that syncopation and all that stuff that we are getting used to play. Maybe I could say that you're right. It's a little bit like easy for us establish that combination, you know, because we already have that syncopation in our music and all that myth around the clave, all that we have to play on top of the clave, and the clave is already syncopated. You know, just imagine a heartbeat that is already syncopated. It's not like a stable heartbeat, you know, and we play on top of that. And one of our exercise is like you play the clave for me, and I try to last you with the clave. So just imagine all that reading concept and all that crazy idea that we could play when we are practicing like that. Yeah. And then when you move to another type of music, of course, for me it's like you need to understand the other music to apply the way that we play in that music, because otherwise sometimes could be too much. That happens sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
You know, but basically that's happened sometimes. That happens. But we are that Oliver said we are getting used to play timba, and in a phrase of, I don't know, 32 bars, you know how many syncopation patterns you do in that 32 bars. And then when you're gonna play funky, you need to play that 32 bar like a straight head. I don't know, for a Cuban drummer, keep that 32 bar just playing the groove. No move, no chop, no like a syncopated chop. It's gonna say the simple stuff of the funky. Sometimes it's a little bit hard for us because we are getting used to play reverse, you know. But once that you understand both sides, and you will see that the same accent, for example, of the straight head jazz is the same accent on the timba. You will see, oh, no, it's not difficult to understand, but of course, it's like time. It's very difficult to young generation that we were talking about to realize this detail now with all the info that now every young kid want to play gospel chops, want to play all that crazy stuff, and they forgot even they want to play the gospel chop into the timba patterns. You know, it's like it's getting crazy here. So
that's okay though. That's okay. It's a good thing. Oliver, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think that, you know, I say for me syncopation, you know, is in the way that we speak, the way that we you know, I say that the dogs when they say the dogs scream or loud,
bark.
They have syncopa. You know, Cuba is wow. They I hear the clave, I hear syncopa, you know, when you clap the in the car, the clap sound.
Mhm.
Pa, pa, para, pa, 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 para, pa, pa, pa. You say, come on, but, I think that is we are involved the syncope, and then we start to study that, and we understand with another point of view, but like the science, see the syncope in music is different, but I think that we have syncope all around. The African roots, the bata is a lot of syncope there. So for us, syncope is like and that's happened. Sometimes it's too much that the people they do not understand.
Yeah.
And we study in the school a chamber music. I say chamber
Music. Yeah.
Yeah, chamber.
music, chamber music. So we studied that in school with classical music and contemporary Cuban music too. So it's in our education and and it's in our grow up and everything. We grow up listening that. No, it's not only on music; it's all around our life. In our life,
Yeah. So you absorb it. Aldo, did you have a final comment? We're getting
Yes.
running
Yes,
out of time, but we got a few more.
I think that's a good wrap up, guys. In my humble opinion, after so many years of trying to understand this, getting back to the clave, if you think the clave as a melody, but it's there's pulse and there's clave, which are universal rhythms. So by thinking and creating everything around this thing called clave, whether it's a son clave or rumba clave, which is syncopated, is what Oliver is just talking about. Your melody is always off kilt. So whether you're thinking one bar or two bars, it's irrelevant. That phrase gives you the freedom upon which to build all kinds of rhythms. And that's what Rodney was referring to, this 32-bar phrase. Well, in their minds, this syncopation, which is a clave, and it's a melody, you're building around that. So that being the building block makes the big difference, in my opinion.
Right. I wanted to say as we wrap it up, guys. Before we go, we have to make sure I make clear this is the Sabian Education Network. Both of you guys are teaching. Just hearing your knowledge, your students are so lucky to have you guys. I mean, you're just so open with how you're sharing everything, and we're gathered here today because of Sabian. Sabian's put this on. You guys are both playing Sabian, right? You have all your in the videos that you sent me.
Yes. Yeah.
And there are 30 all the top guys in Cuba play Sabian.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. And one question I wanted to just throw in, and I asked Oliver this. I said, since all the guys, they're all signed to Sabian, all the guys are playing Sabian, and now Sabian cymbals are actually available in Cuba, and they can even buy them there. I said, what is the difference that has made in Cuban music, those Sabian cymbals? And Oliver, I don't know if Oliver, you remember this, and you said the sound of Cuban music has changed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, there's
Exactly. No. I'm totally agree with
Yeah,
Aldo.
for sure.
I'm totally agree with Aldo.
You got some nice Sabians in the picture there.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
unfortunately, I don't have
my toy.
I don't have my set here because after this interview, you have to go to the recording session with Havana de Primera. So I have all my equipment there.
That's great. Well,
I have all my equipment there.
I just want to encourage. I'll share.
Sure, Sabian changed the movement of percussion in Cuba. The recording sessions of the music that we did here, because we have the opportunity to be in the highest level of the sound symbols, and we are so proud to be to be here with Sabian. It's we are like a blessing, guys, because it's incredible. It's incredible.
No, seriously. seriously. I could tell, like, thanks to Sabian, a lot of percussion, even young guys, they are worried right now about the sound of the instrument.
Wow.
Because normally, because normally we didn't get access here in Cuba to the real instrument. We depend to the instrument who someone left behind. You know, I was depending on the instrument my uncle left behind. You know, it was difficult to get once that Sabian have access to Cuba, and the percussion, could be percussion or drummer, are, you know, able to get the instrument. People are worried about even for playing live, because normally, you know, here people is like, hey, this is my cymbal for playing live, and this is my cymbal for record.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
no, because
wonderful.
we don't have the first the economy here for buy cymbals every day, and also we don't have the cymbal here in the store. Luckily, we have it now, a bunch of them, but we don't have like the main store for say, okay, I wanna get an update of my cymbal. It's not like that. It's like people could play the same cymbal here for 15 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
So basically, with this now, a lot of, you know, the complete sound of the drumming and percussion in Cuba is changing, because everyone has Sabian, even people that doesn't have endorsed.
I think that
that's beautiful.
Everybody play with everybody here in Havana. I mean, no, everybody are playing Sabian cymbal for sure.
That's great.
All the salsa bands, the funk bands, everybody, you know, and they came a lot to me and Rodney and asking about, wait, let me try the cymbal because I wanna get this. Let me try. Oh, give me some advice about these cymbals, and you know, it's part of the thing, you know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Well, thank you guys. I want to just encourage. I'm going to share I shared before the session. I shared some.
The people feel.
I shared some YouTube links before the session.
Hello.
But
we are here.
Yeah, it was breaking up. We had a little bit of there's some bad weather in Cuba, so we were having some challenges with it, but we're good now. But I shared some links from these guys. I really want to encourage you guys to go back and watch Rodney and Oliver play. There's some duets that they did that I watched that were just exquisite. Both tremendous players and teachers. We're so honored that you guys spent an hour with us. Thank you, Rodney. Thank you, Oliver, for doing this. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you, guys, for your invitation. Thank you very much.
Aldo, thank you, Aldo, for being here, sharing your expertise, since you know the gentleman and you're there in Cuba. Dom, I don't know. You don't need to be. No. Thank you, Dom. Thank you.
And apparently we got the dates for next year's festival at Costa Cuba Workshop, first week of March.
Yes.
If all goes well, we'll see you then.
Great. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. I'll be back on Tuesday with everybody's masking up. I'll be back on Tuesday with Liberty DeVito. We'll be back next week. Next Friday, Dom and I have the great Billy Cobham as our guest. So come back and spend a little more time with us. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Rodney, Oliver, Aldo, Don.
Thank you,
guys.
guys.
Next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.